Hello everybody. It's another Wednesday. Can you believe it? Time flies. Yeah, good afternoon, people of this land and beyond. I have so many questions that I've had, and if you've been following me in the last few weeks, you will know, rather, you will have the idea of what all the nonsense that goes through this mind. And these questions I've had for so many years. Let's talk about close to 11 years, if not exactly 11 years, but a lot of questions about life itself, about who we are and what it is that we want as a people, and what makes us tick, what makes us smile, what makes us frown, what makes us happy. If at all we understand our value, as individuals, if at all we understand what it is that we are after, and if at all we are able to even go for what we want, if at all we understand how we need to be treated, and if at all we know how to treat the next person. And this brings me to this story that I've kind of made up, but perhaps there's some truth to it, but perhaps most of you can relate. Today I want to talk about why vote, VOTE. Why vote for people to to govern the country? Why vote for the people to lead us? And this is how I want to start this. Think of a relationship where you and your partner meet, or you get married to this man with whom you agree to do things and how you will run your life, and along the way, not too long perhaps into this relationship, then a lot of things don't happen as you agreed, and this man keeps making promises, and he keeps promising to change, and yes, sometimes he changes, but then it doesn't last, and at 14 years later you realize that my life hasn't gone anywhere. My life isn't going anywhere. And if you're brave enough, then you lose yourself. You lose yourself. Yeah, you lose yourself from that relationship, because you know what your value is, because you know what it is that you want as a person, because you know what it is that you're after, and you know how you want to be treated. You can no longer subject yourself to that emotional and psychological abuse. You can no longer subject yourself to mediocre. You can no longer subject yourself to less than what you deserve. So is our country at this moment, South Africa, and the so-called leaders that we've put in power. What I don't understand is, my granddad went to prison for 27 years to liberate us and to give us a democracy. And my question is, what kind of democracy do we have? My question is, what did he go to prison for 27 years if we call this a democracy? Is it this democracy a make-believe? Is this a make-believe at all? Because what I believe he fought for, and all those who sacrificed their lives, all those who lost their lives for us to be free from what? Because it doesn't seem like this democracy that was promised, where there is social justice, where there is equality. This is actually opposite of what is happening. And now our leaders, the people that we call our leaders, our politicians, our government, they're just like that husband that has promised you a good life, that has promised you to treat you well, that has promised to cherish you, but they don't fulfill their promises. They are just like that husband who said they will take care of you, you are their queen, but they don't fulfill their promises. Our government officials, they don't mind for us to beg them for their attention. They don't mind for us to call them and ignore our calls, to send them messages and ignore our messages. They don't mind for us to beg for their attention, when in fact they are supposed to beg for our attention. Now let me remind you, we are the ones who put them in power. Remember your vote. Why vote? So if Umadiba and Endrumlangeni and all those who sacrificed their lives, those who are passed on and those who are still alive, if they sacrificed their lives for us to vote for people who cannot even show us modicum of respect, what was their sacrifice about? If people cannot, those who are supposedly in power, cannot even have the time of day for us, we put them in power, and we need to think about that. We need to think about what we do all the time when we vote for these people to put them in power, what it is that we are doing. Yes, they plan conferences, they plan gatherings, imbizos, they come up with these psychological, nonsensical ideas that just brush us off for a while. They come up with food packages, they come up with there's my goodness, they come up with all these things that are not of quality. They come up with RDP houses. They come up with it. It can no longer be about those food packages. It can no longer be those inferior quality RDP houses. It can no longer be about that. It can no longer be about the grant that is given to young people to go and have children, and they don't even know, they have never been educated how to handle that grant, because they go on and buy horsehair and put on makeup to go in the street and advertise themselves and subject themselves to men who take advantage of vulnerable women, to men who take advantage of women. There's a lot that we need to deal with. Yes, we understand and accept. And we can never run away from the legacies of colonialism. We can never run away from the legacies of apartheid. But at some point, we don't need to have meetings about basic needs of people of this country. We don't need to have meetings and be talking about people that need to have their basic needs met. We don't have. We need to talk about matters of essence, matters that affect people psychologically and emotionally. We need to talk about the disease and how we come up with solutions to these diseases. But how do we even get to that point when people's needs, basic needs, are not met? We don't need to meet about whether people should have shelter or not. We don't need to meet about whether people should have electricity and water or not. The people of this country that put these people that don't even respect them to power, they wake up at the dawn, at the crack of dawn, to travel kilometers and kilometers and go to work and for a living that ends up on the roads because of transport. By the time they get home, they don't even have enough to meet the ends. And we call this democracy. These people that we call our leaders, they don't even know what it means to be a leader. What they know is to flash their cars and flash their houses. How big a car can you have for you to be enough? How big a house can you have for you to be satisfied? How many zeros in your bank balance can you have for you to think that you have enough? We are told that this country has resources, enough resources. There's money, there's everything for us all in this country. But it ends up in the few of the hands. Why is it that our leaders don't understand that we can no longer run and govern this country with our stomachs? We can no longer run and govern this country with heads that are empty, and all we do is think that we will demonstrate or display what we have when our heads are empty. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you when you cannot think of the poor? What is wrong with you when you cannot even think of the elderly? You take advantage of the elderly. You take the poor for granted. You take young children and vulnerable women for granted, and you call yourself a leader. Should you even be there? What is wrong with you when you don't even understand what leadership actually means? You know the word, but you don't know the meaning. Why vote? Why should we vote for somebody who does not even care? Why should we vote for somebody who thinks they're a celebrity and cannot understand the essence and the substance of servanthood? Why should we vote for somebody who understands nothing about another life but themselves? Let me speak to you, fellow South African. Let me speak to you, fellow African. You are the one who puts these people in power. You are the one, time and time again, who subjects yourself to the abuse. You are the one who puts those people in power, that they don't even care about you in return. Why vote for people that don't care? If you have a helper and if you have somebody to do something for you, they should do it the way you have employed them to do it. And if they don't do it, what do? You fire them, don't you? So why don't you fire these people that don't do and give you what it is that you need? We are told of there are many opportunities out there, go and grab them and all that BS. But nothing happens. Where are these opportunities? Because all we are given is make-believe. Where are these opportunities? Because when we go out there, when some of us go out there and look for these opportunities, doors are shut at us and they call us our servants. It's time we remind these politicians, it's time we remind the government of South Africa that they are serving us. They are not celebrities. It's time we stop clapping hands for them when they attend these sessions. It's time for us to applaud them when they enter the room. We are the masters here, not them. Why vote if what we vote for is just make-believe? There are more important things to put our attention to. There are more important things to focus on. People hate. People are hurt. People are messed up. People are confused. People are sick. People are vulnerable, and we need to be dealing with such things. But where do we even begin when the basic needs, when there is so much injustice, when the law favors those who have more than those who don't have? When do we even begin? Are we not tired of talking already? Are we not tired of having these conferences that take us nowhere? Let me speak to the church. You see, if the pastors did not focus so much on people's wallets, if the pastors did not focus so much on praying on people instead of praying for them and praying for this government, I think we would have taken strides. If pastors introduced people to a real God, the God of love, I wonder if pastors even really believe in this God that they introduce to people, because the people that have been introduced to this God, some of them have not changed at all. Some do not even know right from left. Some don't even know right from wrong. Because the pastors have encouraged people to define themselves through material wealth. If you have a car in a house and they even encourage you to get married as if marriage is an achievement. If you have a car in a house, that's all these pastors care about. When the people are hurt, when the people are struggling with unforgiveness, when the people are struggling with pain, when the people are struggling with confusion, when the people are struggling with hatred, they are more interested in what they drive and when they are empty. Why vote if our vote does not work at all? So I'm saying, the people that we put in power need to understand today that time to talk and time to have debates and time to have conferences and imbizos and meetings about useless things is over. They will not be voting the next election if you do not prove to us that you are worthy of our vote. If you do not prove to us that you are worthy to become our leader. If you do not prove to us that you are worthy of our respect, you can forget it, because we own the power to put you where you are. We own the power to put you where you are. Yes, I said it and I will say it again. We own the power to put you where you are. And fellow South Africans, we need to remind ourselves of what our value is. We need to remind ourselves of who we are. And we need to remind ourselves that we are better than where we are. And we can be in a better place than where we are. Initiating insight with Sibongile. Promoting the freedom of the mind.